Thank you so much for sharing your noon on this May 14th, 2025. Thank you for sharing your day with me. I am JB Bryan, JB Bryan of JB Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm. I wonder how loud that was. My headset, I was dragging it across the desk. I apologize. I hope you couldn't hear that. Yes, I am the Chief Investment Officer of JB Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm that dates back to 1995 when I opened the firm. Thank God for the opportunity to serve you and your family. Indeed, the first principle of Afroeconomics is legacy. So today we're really talking about legacy because we're talking about young people, young in our careers, getting our careers started. I see so many graduation pictures and everything. And I wanted to make sure that I post on that we have this in our library so that you can share that or even take the link right now if you're on my mailing list that I just text out. You might be you might be just getting your text, but I text out. And then for I know the members, if you want to come in and give us some feedback and tell us, what went right for you, Miss Davis, what you would have done. Not that you could change a thing, because I know your life is just as close to perfect as possible in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Good to see you. Good to see your name at least. I appreciate you. I have some key notes that I want to make sure that I share some financial tips, some key things that young people, young graduates, some key mistakes that they make. And not on the list is what I think is most important. And a few weeks ago, a few Wednesdays ago, I made reference to Carter G. Woodson's book, The Miseducation of the Negro. And a lot of it, he talks about getting higher education and how college graduates, when they were finishing, and I don't know what chapter it had, but it was just referring to like people graduating from college and thinking that they had a lot to offer to employers because they had just finished their training or just finished college. Just, Vicky D, that's indeed. Hit that link and come on in so you can we can share this day and give some feedback to these young people and remind ourselves how blessed we are. We made it through. That's the studio link for members. But so Carter G. Woodson was talking about that the young people would kind of be, arrogant in a way, like that they had so much to offer the employers, and that, because now they had their degree, that they had, great awakening back at you. Harris 3. That that the young people had, no idea how much they didn't know. So I challenge all of us, and especially the young people out there, that if we're in need of a career or a job, that we should keep in mind that we have a lot to learn. We have a lot to learn. Like even me, I've been doing, financial services over 30 years for my firm. And before that, when I worked for an investment firm, I had to learn how they wanted me to do it. And most importantly, I was humble enough to realize that even though I had multiple degrees when I became a financial advisor, that I had a lot to learn. And when people hire you and companies hire you and you don't know what they do, we are given an opportunity to learn. They are making an investment in you. And even though less and less companies like are making that type of investment, they're still making a huge investment. Like we think that if people take people straight out of high school, then they're really training them, they're really teaching them. But there's really not that much difference between a person who's 4 years older, but they don't know anything about that particular career. All employers know when we hire someone is that they are trained, that they're teachable, That's it. And then you're setting up a criteria of how to complete a project. Right, Mr. Barden? It's like that they've taught us by finishing their degree that they know how to finish a project. But no matter what you do, even if you go to medical school and you complete medical school, you still don't know how to do surgery. So you complete the training program for being a surgeon. But would you really feel comfortable if you had to have surgery and this was the first surgery this surgeon had to do and they were in there by themselves? Cheryl's like, no way, not on your hip, right? That's indeed walking with grace, but walking with wisdom as well. That when you don't know what you're doing, these companies have to invest in someone teaching you how to do it and how to do it properly. And we have to have the humility to know that I have to learn. Okay, yeah, you got those degrees and you did all that. That's right. You just had, a shoulder surgery. Girl, would you want to know that this person was straight out of surgery school and this is the first one and they didn't put anybody in there to help them? Right? So I remember my first job, the first job I got, I didn't really want, but I took it. That's the one where I was working at the bank and doing the called it credit analyst. And I was analyzing businesses and see who could become approved for a business loan. Miss Vicky D. That was that. But I didn't really want to do that. I really wanted to get in sales. I really wanted sales. And I don't know if at that point when I was really going after sales, turn on your camera, Mr. Barden, if you're okay with coming in. And then so do you know, Vicky D, Mr. Barden, why I wanted sales? Why I was like, I got to get out of this bank. I need to get in sales. So I wanted this job in radio sales. Can you imagine why?
Well, you control what you can earn, because you work hard, the revenue comes in as a result of your efforts.
Exactly. And that's what Carter G. Woodson was trying to say in The Miseducation of the Negro, that the Negroes were not trained to accept the job from North Carolina Mutual. So North Carolina Mutual was going around to all these colleges looking for somebody like me, just 50 years too soon. And they were like, and all the college, most of them, Carter G. Woodson said, they said, no, I got a degree. Why would I want to do something like that? Even my boss that hired me for the radio sales thought I wasn't, he thought I was not serious. Tracy, like commission based is not enough. Like that, you can't take a job just because it's commission based, But it was like, he said, what is wrong? Are you confused? Because what? Most of the time, people that wanted the job hadn't gotten to a degree. They were taking that job in sales because they felt like they had to take that job in sales. They weren't excited about it like I was. I'm coming out of the University of Virginia. I'm excited about it. I would walk up to people and they'd be like, "Where you going?" I tell them about the bank. They're like, "Oh, okay, you went." I said, "But I don't want to be there. I'm trying to get this job in radio sales. I'm trying to get that job." But what in the world? Why would someone want to do that? We're so smart. You have a degree, right? And it was like, I wasn't even thinking about the commission. I was thinking about exactly what you said, Mr. Barden. Unlimited income.
That's right.
Now, commission, that's what it means. You know what I'm saying? But really, it doesn't have to mean that, because now I don't charge commission. I get a fee off my service. Somebody want my advice on something, they pay me a fee. Because I'm a registered investment advisor, I get a fee, not commission.
Mm-hmm.
So the fee is, I'm getting paid for my work, getting paid for my service, getting paid for my brain, I'm getting paid for my experience, getting paid for my thoughts. I'm getting paid for something they can't get anywhere else. Commission, you think, that's kind of, it can be product. That's probably, but to just know. And when I said to that man, you hear feedback, Ms. Davis. So when I said to that boss at the radio station, "Don't worry, I don't need no salary." That's what I told him, Vicky. Here I am with school loans, rent to pay, car, because I have nothing. I came out of school, I had to get a car. And I told that man, "Don't worry, I don't need salary, I don't need anything. Just give me the job. I got this." What is the payout? What is the payout? Just get out my way. Don't limit my income. And the only reason I ever left it, I've told y'all before, is because he started limiting my income, taking accounts away from me, giving them to other people. So all of a sudden, that's the thing. So that's how I knew. I was like, I have to get myself into a position where I'm Miss Davis's advisor. And even if I was at a firm, Miss Davis would be like, "Look, you don't change me from her. You don't send me over this, I want JB back." But in radio, it didn't have that type of loyalty. The loyalty was to the station. If I was the salesperson and I was selling you purses from China, and then all of a sudden JB's not selling you the purse, they change it to Bob, you don't care really. You just want the purse.
JB, we keep getting an echo.
I don't know what that echo means. What you mean by the echo? But I unplugged my headphone. I don't know. Did anybody else say they heard it? I really pretty much want to blame it on you. Oh, no. Let's see. We do settings and then audio.
Everything you say is repeated.
You know why? Because it's doing it through that camera as well. And I didn't ask it to. What about this? Is that better? The microphone. What about that? No more echo, right? No more echo, right? Can't you answer?
All right, I'm gonna jump off, and then I'm gonna close the camera down. Let's see.
But there's no echo, right? Are you still getting echo?
I still hear it. Yes.
You still hear echo. Okay.
Okay. Somebody says, Miss Askew says it's not on YouTube. All right. Let me come out of this, and I'm gonna go back to YouTube.
Well, Miss Askew, don't you know that the world revolves around Miss Davis? That it's all about her. And if Miss Davis hears an echo, then we got to change this thing.
Coming out.
Nah, I don't. And it's showing me something called echo cancellation. But generally, they told me as long as I wear my headset that I don't have. Do you have an echo, Mr. Barden? Oh, okay. It's really, Mr. Barden, you were gone, and I didn't have you to ask if you had a voice, if you had an echo. Just like that, Cheryl, we went off on a tangent. It's the exact. Oh, thank you, Mr. Barber. I know, Mr. Barden. I know you're like, what are they doing? And what's the echo? And I don't hear an echo. So my point to young people and people of all ages is that we have to make sure, thank you, Ms. Triplett, that we have something to actually offer. Like, if we're going into a situation because we want to learn about a situation, we have to be, able to realize they're not getting anything from us just being there. That when a company hired Mr. Barden, for years, they were just teaching him how the whole education system works. They weren't making money off his presence. Thank you. You feel me on that, Mr. Barden? I'm trying to tell young people that at the beginning, it's about getting experience. It's about learning, because you're not, I mean, we really have been misled that we think because we went to school that we have so much to offer them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, well, I have a degree, like, you know what I'm saying? So that the person that's been there, that's teaching you, that doesn't have a degree, you can slip up and be disrespectful to them and not even know it.
Yeah.
Because they know more than you know.
Right.
And a lot of times they're bringing in college graduates and they're paying them almost as much as the person who has built the opportunity, paved the way for them. I remember one time there was like, exactly, it's a lot. I remember one time this newspaper had done an article on me, and this man that worked for a competitor, his wife called, and they didn't do an article on me. They were just asking financial advisors what their opinion was. So his wife called and said, why did you use her when my husband is over here and he does what she does? And you could have asked her, you could have asked him. So he's at least 20, let's say 15 years younger than me. He's behind me. I paved the way. If you ever get stepped over by someone who paved the freaking way, who else would you want to be stepped? It would be different if I was brand new and his wife was calling and saying this, because she was calling and saying it because of him. And then the newspaper sent me the email that the wife sent him. So I called him and he wouldn't call me back. It was scared. And I was like, I just don't understand. I don't know you all. I've never talked to you all. You all don't know me. And then so his wife calls me. His wife called and I said, you just have no idea how much it hurts when I have paved the way. Companies look at me and say, I want to hire someone like your husband because I want somebody like her here. It'd be different if I'm not representing. I said, but you hurt me. And I told her, I said, you hurt me. You hurt my feelings. To look at an email, you know what I'm saying? I said, you don't know how much I've been through over my life. And here you are, a beautiful Black couple. I mean, I went there. You know what I'm saying? I said, I'm raising my daughter by myself. You don't know my plight. But to not want me to be able to feed my child when I paid the price, I paved the way. It'd be different if I did something to disrespect our industry and make it hard for him. But every time I wake up and I get in here and I, you know what I mean? And I do what I'm supposed to do for my clients. And you look back by the grace of God and you see there ain't no clients complaining. Like Mr. Barden said, like you can go right on there and look up everything about these 30 plus years.
That's right.
When I do right, it helps all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to tell these young people when they're going into the workplace to have respect for those who paved the way.
Yes.
There's still people saying, when you know Joe Barden, he did so and so and so. And when he would come into the conference, I mean, he broke down those numbers. He was constantly looking out for historically Black colleges and trying to make sure that they got treated fairly when it came to these things and this and that. Like, people don't realize. We can't all be Martin Luther King, but we can all fight for the cause that God gave us, and we're doing it. But when I stop, when I, you know what I mean, do something, you know, and I rebuke the even thought of it. But if I did something wrong and I hurt somebody or brought harm to anyone, you know what I mean, then that's a different story. And I'm doing you a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cheryl, it's that. Who are you competing with? You ain't no competition to me, young blood.
Right.
You in that world that I left.
Mm-hmm.
In anything, he should be trying to ask me, how do I get out? Take me with you. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you find comfort there means that we ain't the same spirit.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the same. That ain't no competition to me. Not at all. I have an entrepreneurship spirit from day one.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little kid making money off the street, delivering papers, babysitting, cleaning houses. I was born to be an entrepreneur. They do little workshops on that, right? Like they go, are entrepreneurs built or born, right? I should do a class on that. In my opinion, I think that mentality of I'm going to work and I have no problem working, you know what I'm saying? I don't think about vacation. There are people now, everybody should do something, but people who want to have a family and people who want things to be good for them, they shouldn't have no business, because I'm telling you, everything comes second. If you want to build a successful business, there is no such thing for me with balance. It's none. You sacrifice so much. And if you got a spouse, they are special. When I see people and they have businesses and they have a spouse, you know, all I do, especially if it's a man, is I speak to the wife first. And I say, it is a blessing, everything that you both represent. Mm-hmm. Because it is not easy. It's just like, you know, people think, oh, people just want to be with this athlete because he has money. And people want to, do you know how hard it is to be with this type of personality? We are always going to get something. We are always thinking. I wake up in the middle of the night talking to myself about an idea. We always have something. We always look like we have something on our mind because there's always something on our mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So when a kid is coming out of school and they want an opportunity to work on somebody else's dream, that's their supervisor. Like I used to tell my daughter about SOL, standard of learning test. I go, look, this teacher's job is on the line. So if you ain't do nothing else right, you got to pass this SOL. I'm telling you, it's just a basic. It is understood. You know what I'm saying? I tell her, I said, because if you want to lose a friend, you act like you ain't taking this SOL serious. Because them teachers, boy, when it become like SOL time, they came in there like it was the military. Look, sit down, shut up. We gotta go. SOLs are coming. Go to sleep. They would send home instructions. Go to sleep. Make sure they sleep. Feed them right. Be nutritious. Don't stress them out. You know, because I want my job. Yes, KC, right? When I do right, it helps all of us. I said the other day, y'all don't give me But I'm going to tell you, everybody, all these politicians that are doing wrong, they need to realize it's doing us all wrong. And we got to start holding people accountable. These young people learn from what we do, not what we say, not where we went to get the degree, nothing about that. The young people learn from what we do. Going up here, kids get excited. They go get their law degree. Then they look on TV and they see lawyers that look like them doing stupid stuff. So disrespectful. It's disrespectful. And we've just kind of decided, I mean, if I hear they do it one more time, I'm going to continue to scream. Who are they? And then somebody always answers the question when I say, who are they? Don't answer it. That is a rhetorical question. Because the only person's actions that matter are ours. Everything. Goodness gracious, isn't it a blessing that Jesus wasn't like that? Well, you know how it goes. You know, people do what people do. You know, why am I going to be out there caring about people? You know, no. Get our young people to realize how blessed they are to have the opportunity to get into a setting that they can learn. No, I had to go in and be a good employee before you can be a good employer. I serve. All my clients, and I'm not even exaggerating this, all of my clients are the boss of me. All of them. I don't even get to pick and choose. Sometimes it's the one with the least amount of money is the one that requires the most time. I don't get to pick and choose. If I take a client on, that's why I've become so particular. And we need to all learn to be like that. You have to be so particular with your time and who you spend your time with. When I was broke, I had no value for my time. I had no value of myself, you know, so you're going to be broke. But when you want wealth and you see yourself as wealthy and you know who you are, you value the time that people give you. And then that's why you kill yourself trying to be on time, because you know they did not have to take that time to come see you. When somebody gets out of their house, puts on their clothes, gets in the house, puts on their clothes before they leave the house, puts on their clothes, leaves the house to come see me. Have you ever gone anywhere, like when you go to see the doctor? I think it's so ignorant that they think it's okay to leave their customers sitting out there waiting an hour, hour and a half. That is the most ridiculous, stupid shit in the world that y'all let them get away with. Ain't nobody gonna help. You ain't gonna get me to give you. Do you know how much every hour of your life costs? I remember one time I had to hire this lawyer because I was suing these people for breach of contract. So he says, so I said, this is how much time their ignorance cost me, and I want to be reimbursed for that. He said, well, how you get with that? I said, well, I took my tax return from last year and I divided it by all the hours that I worked, and this is where I came up with. And you get to enhance it a little bit because all you got to use is 40 hours. You ain't got to share that it took you 60, 80 hours to make that income. You know what I'm saying? But for this average, and he was blown away. Actually got jealous, like started treating me different. Wanted to figure out how to charge me more. He was telling me was bad, bro. I was like, calm down. I'm just trying to get them to reimburse you. But he's like, how you get to that? But there was a brother who told me that. One of our members in Las Vegas, he said, look, he be breaking down some numbers. How much you want to make? You break that down to the hour, then you know this is how much your time costs. You stop undervaluing yourself. So when you get the time with someone like me, if I sit down and talk to some young person, because I'm Black and nappy headed, they take it for granted. They have no idea how much knowledge is in this head. So it is really us who allow people to undervalue us. And if a kid calls me and they want an internship or something in my office, look, and they look. Oh, Mr. Barr, they're probably like, why is she calling me back? Why ain't she calling me back? Because that man who was over the radio station, who gave me that chance to make twice as much as what I was making at that bank, twice in a half a year. Because that man made me call him 60,000 times with my degree and everything. And he never went to college, was making all the money in the world, made more money than my daddy with a PhD as the president of 2 colleges ever made. That brother was making more than that. We are so confused. Died rich. Look, I'm telling you, you are not going to make it in this world of unlimited income if you only can ask for what you want one time. But a lot of times, what? Going to college, you got the degree, you call me, you tell me about it, you send me an email, you think I'm impressed? You think I'm impressed? You ain't got nothing I ain't got? But I got what you need. That's what we don't see. And you're doing your kids a disservice if you make them think. But look. But if they had to call P. Diddy, they call him 5, 6 times. They call P. Diddy 5, 6, 7, 11 times. P. Diddy, I want an internship. P. Diddy, I want an internship. P. Diddy, I want a P. Diddy, want an internship. So that look like that little girl said. She would do anything for him. How we undervalue ourselves. She could have, look, oh my God, she could have been doing anything. How long did she think that was going to last? At what point do we realize we've got to learn from the best? And I don't know. It's at some point we have to realize, like, what the best is. But I'm going to tell you, if someone is asking you to engage in illegal activity, they are not the best. Just a hint. I don't care how popular they are. If they are doing something, and we literally have to tell these young people this, that they're asking you to do anything that is illegal, and it's illegal. I don't care. I was only 19. I don't care. I was only 20. I don't care. You knew. When we know it, you don't do it. At some point, we have to be responsible for ourselves. At what point is that? It's about kindergarten. At kindergarten age, kids know when to come home and say, this happened to me. If you have not taught your child how to report when something is illegal, then you have done your child a disservice. Not necessarily true. Yes, perception is reality until God shows you truth. So in almost every situation that we've seen, we see when God shows you better. Like when I was in the job and I was like, to switch from selling radio at that point and switching over to becoming a stockbroker, I had to start all over again. That I was married at that time, and he was disgusted that I was making that much money and was going to start over. And I kept trying to tell him, honey, but this is going to be for the long term best for us. Me and your mom prayed about this, and this is going to be best for us over the long term. It didn't matter. Didn't see it. Wanted that short-term money. Short-term money. That would have been the death of me if I had begged for that to continue to exist. I trusted God and I let it go. I knew it was wrong. I knew that God wanted better for me than that. I knew that God did not want me focusing on money in the face of knowing it's wrong. And do you know how many people are miserable today because they chose to only focus on money? I believe, and I know it, and may my life prove it to be true, that you can make money without harming anyone. You can make money because you do the right thing. You do the right thing. The other day, Michelle Obama had this interview and she said, I tried so hard not to do the right thing. For a person who has lived my whole life trying to do the right thing, that was heartbreaking to hear. How do you say that to your kids? How do you say it to these college graduates that watch that? Like, you know the right thing to do, but you know what? Don't do it. Because you just get tired of doing the right thing. You get tired of it. I got tired of it. I don't know. Or do you tell them, well, you just do the right thing while you're young, but when you get older, you ain't got to do the right thing anymore, What do we think we worry about this? I don't know. But kids, in my opinion, children, young people, adults, all of us, we should always do the right thing. And do the right thing well. Do it well. Do it well. So some key things, some key takeaways I want you to have is that I want you to start saving as soon as possible. You don't have to start saving after you graduate. Don't waste money when you're in school. Don't get loans and you don't need them. Don't get a credit card and you don't need it. You might need one. Don't get 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I'm saying? Avoid the debt. Focus on school when you're in school. Don't try to live like someone who's out of school when you're still just in school. So start saving early as possible, even if it's just a little bit. I want to tell you that credit cards are bad. Credit cards are bad. And so, they have their space and you need them sometimes, but they are to be paid off immediately. And don't put on a credit card anything that you don't have the money for. Don't finance your life. Make sure that your student loans are manageable. And know that when you get a job or within a couple months, those payments are going to start. So know that your education doesn't stop just because you got out of school. That's really where your education is going to start. You're going to be a lifelong, commit to be a lifelong learner. Learn every day of your life. We don't have to be in school to learn. Just learn from work. Learn from your service. And know that investing and saving for your future is not only for wealthy people. And if your parents didn't invest and they didn't know a lot about investing, that doesn't mean that you can't make sure that you get involved in the financial planning process of AfroEconomics, for example. I don't know of anything else out here like AfroEconomics. For just $30 a month, you can get financial assistance of an experienced financial advisor. Yes, wait up. Don't spend just because you have it. Prepare for investments down the road. Prepare for, oh, well, when I get my job, I'm going to need to buy some nice clothes because I like to wear nice clothes. If you like to wear nice clothes, or learn to do, secondhand nice clothes, learn to that nobody's going to hire you because you came in there with a purse that costs more than the shoes they have on. Remember what people make. You could be overdoing it and closing doors for yourself because of things that you really can't afford anyway. A lot of people said, like, when their boss saw their car, their boss started treating them differently. Can you really afford a car? And the reason that the boss might treat you differently is he might have thought that you were smarter than that. He might have thought, wow, I didn't think he would do something like that because I know how much he gets paid and his car payment, this so and such and such. But he does have the right. Everybody has the right to judge us. They have to, the right to do. But it also, I think that the word says that our heart is where our treasures lie. So say your boss knows you got bad credit, but you pulling up with this luxury car, and he sees, because they have to check your credit. If you're in financial services, my credit is very, very important. So just say, he knows that what you've done is not good for you, or he knows you're getting a garnishment for your child support. You get a job, you got a child, they're going to find you. So, So investing, saving, maybe that's why you have a lot of people that invest, but the majority of our community doesn't. Maybe we put too much of our money into stuff that you can see, where with investments, you can't see it. You can't see how much money my client has. And a lot of times, the less stuff they have, the bigger the investment account. So we kind of have to tell young people to learn very early in their life, be a good person, a person of high character, a person that pays their bills on time, that person that avoids unnecessary debt. That person may not have a whole lot of friends because they're focusing on doing the right thing. They're not putting effort in not doing the right thing. They doing the right thing. I was watching this video, and this man, and I've seen this several times, and this man, he was probably in his 50s, 60s, and this young person was interviewing. You know how they walk him up on the street, and he says to the man, what would you do differently? If you could change anything in your life, what would you do differently? And the grown man said, I would have stayed with that woman I had my first child with. I still love her. I still got a place for her in my heart, and I just deal with it every day. But I just kept messing around. I would not have been, he used the word, for a person that messed with a whole bunch of people. And he said, I would not have been like that. I've seen in GQ magazine or whatever magazine, a research study that says the biggest regret for men when they're middle-aged is that they wish they had not broken their family up. If someone I saw one of my Facebook friends, he was telling these young guys, do what it do as much as you can, do have as much sex as you can while you young, and do all this, while you young, do it. Don't, because there was a young man that he knew, and he was saying settle down, and he was telling him as a grown man, don't settle down, don't so and so. And I said, well, I said, I don't think that's good advice to give him. If he can become disciplined as a young man, it will benefit him for the rest of his life. If he's got the right one, if he has got a good woman, I don't care how old, what age it is, 12 years old, that if he got the right one, he should stick that out all the way through. He should stick it out. But I think that we spend a lot of time telling people to just do whatever they want to do when we're not really teaching these young people about the importance of discipline and the cost of the lack of discipline, how much it costs them over the long term. The only reason I have a 30-year business is because of discipline, not motivation. Because some days you're just not motivated. Some days you're motivated to do something stupid. Sometimes you're motivated to just not do the right thing. That's just ridiculous. But your discipline will pull you back in. Your discipline will say, well, I really don't want to do this because I've been doing right my whole life. But you know what? Your discipline. A lady told me this morning at the gym, she said, oh my goodness, Jay, it looks like it's like you lost weight. She said, have you lost weight? I said, I since when? And my trainer was looking like, just tell the lady yes. And I was like since when? Like, I didn't know, like when she was referring to, like, since, and she said, like, since I saw you last week. And I said, yeah, actually, I have like lost about 7 pounds because in 1 week, Mr. Brown, because I did a food sensitivity test. And in the food sensitivity test, it told me that most of the stuff that I was eating every day, my body was responding negatively to. I was shocked. So she said, don't tell me cheese. Don't tell me cheese. And then my trainer said, yeah, one of hers was cheese, But me reading that, and I thank God, me reading that, I immediately was like, oh, thank God. But that's discipline. She said, I don't care. Ain't no way I'm going to stop eating cheese. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. So you know what's wrong. She was saying, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to find out. I don't even want to know what's wrong. So it's discipline, not motivation. Motivation is cool. It gets me to the gym. You deal with the same problem. But when I said, I don't want my blood pressure elevated, that took something different. It took something different. It meant I got to find out what's going on in my gut. I got to find out what's going on. I had to go in the inside. It really didn't. It has to get to the point where, like my dad told me years ago, it really ain't about what you look like. You got to do this because of what's going on in the inside. That's what's sustainable. A smart employer wants to hire and be surrounded by, and especially if it's their own business, you want to be surrounded by people who are about the inside, doing the right thing. They are determined, disciplined, and the motivation is simple because you're going to get paid. But it's the discipline, the determination that's going to make you do it right, do it well. Anybody can just do it, but you want to be the one that does it well. You want to be the one, you know what I'm saying, that I know, that they know. Like they used to say when I worked at the firm, they would say, hey, she's so-and-so, she's so-and-so. They'd be using me as an example of goodness, of discipline, of motivation. Yes. So let's be encouraged that that discipline is what is going to make sure that you determine a reasonable budget. Manage your things well. Begin to save immediately, not later, immediately. No matter what you're making, save. Avoid the debt. Get the help that you need. Join things. If you have someone in your family that's better at money than you are, get their help. Start doing planning. A key part of AfroEconomics membership is the financial plan. It's included. It's part of that little bit dollar a day that you would have to do for yourself. Do it. Do it. Invest in you. The best thing that I've ever done, has been to invest in me. How can we be healthy if we don't invest in ourselves? I will send it. I will text it to you, Mr. Barber. I'll text you the information. Yes, indeed. And the DM. But it's different than this great question. I will text it to you. I appreciate y'all. God is so good. Let them know, to all the young people out there listening, I love you. I want the best for you. But I don't want you weak. I don't want you to doubt yourself. I want you to know, without having to go through hell, how to handle hell. I went through hell for you. Your parents possibly went through hell for you. I know I have. And I'm on fire now. I'm on fire. I thank God for the opportunity to be here to help you, to give you direction, to tell you what I would have done differently. Only thing I would have done differently would have been to learn the value of me from day one. And that's hard when you're surrounding yourself with people who ain't saying that. So what we have to do is learn as early as possible. If you are undervaluing yourself, stop doing that. And that doesn't mean, oh, I got, I need to have so-and-so and so and salary. You can make all the money you want. All you want is the opportunity. All you got to do is get in the door. A person with a job, it's a lot easier for them to get another job. Once you get that good evaluation, that good experience, you do what you got to do to move ahead. I did not take a job when I didn't have the job that I really wanted. I was at the job that I didn't want, calling for the job that I wanted. And the job that I had was a great job to some people, but it wasn't what I wanted. But you do what we got to do. That's where our discipline comes in. We do what we got to do. We do what we got to do. We do what we got to do and build on that. Do what you got to do and do it well and build on that, because someone believed in us enough to give us that opportunity. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Thank you, Cheryl. If you ever need anything, go to AfroEconomics.com. Click on the membership. Do the no excuses. That's the free one. No excuse. Get involved. Stop coming on Saturday. Be around people making money. Be around people with a different conversation. Watch, click like, subscribe, so that every time on Wednesdays when I'm here, that you'll get this information. You deserve it. It's what we put in our head. We put too much garbage in our head. Spend some time listening to things like this. Out of it, there's some stuff that won't have value, but a lot of what I'm saying has value, and it makes more sense as you move forward in life. It will come together. Be blessed. I am JB Bryan of JB Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm with offices in New York, Washington, D.C., and Richmond, Virginia. Indeed, everywhere. And the internet. So make sure you go to AfroEconomics.com, JBBRYAN.com. I'm here to help. Please subscribe. Please click like. Please share the video. God bless y'all. Let's stay encouraged.